and final of the Macquarie University Debating Society Macquarie Meeting Tournament for 2013. On opening up, we have from UQ, no hair, no face, body, but we're still functioning. Opening up, we have from Griffith University, Joseph Crystal and his daughter, still a better love story than Twilight. On closing government, we have from ANU, A New Hope. Closing ops from USU, we have Soldiering On in Injustice. And our educators, our chair, Anna Rosmina. And panelists, Lachlan Umbers, Richard Keys, Jacob Rock, Jesse Wu, and Vincent Chiang. So without further ado, I'd like to call upon the opening gov.
Madam Speaker, we stand for the right of families who otherwise may not be able to support themselves in exceptionally impoverished circumstances to selectively pick the gender of their child because it fundamentally means to them, and even if they will be selecting males, it means to them that they will have a level of security from the potential ravages of famine and other problems associated with poverty that these people will experience into the rest of their lives. There are two questions I'm going to ask from Prime Minister. Firstly, why is it principally okay to abort a child on the basis of its gender? And then secondly, why it is that this will help poor families and why that's practically great. So we're assuming that the premise of this debate, if not, we're happy to challenge it later on, but the premise of this debate is going to be that at least in the Western context, at least in the broad context not associated with gender, that we're okay with abortion. And I'm going to present to you the rationale for that and why it is that transfers over to the rationale in this instance. Rationale is basically because that fetus, no thank you, is not yet a human, and as such its rights are trumped by the other human that is in the competing interests dichotomy, no thank you, of an abortion. And we think that what we've decided is that the future human is not weighed very heavily, right? Because the future human is not currently a human, and if we had to weigh all future humans, we wouldn't necessarily allow abortion at all. But that's the decision, no thank you, that's the decision that we've made here. So we think that what is effectively the case is that there's no harm being done, at least to the fetus, or we don't actually care about the harm that's being done to the fetus. The broader question would be, is there a harm that is then done to society and to future society as a result of that? And that is what I'm going to deal with. And let me be clear, even if there are more men under this system, and it is a system where men do better and those females as such do not necessarily exist, discrimination is not bad because men do better than women out of it. Discrimination is bad because women do not do suitably well. So no thank you. So as abhorrent as it is that there is that difference, if men are doing better, especially because it is an economy, like these are often in economies where physical labour is exceptionally important, then we are okay simply to have more human beings doing better, no thank you, even if it means that those human beings happen to be men. So, do you have this broad obligation to everyone else? At the moment, we've decided with abortion that it is exclusively personal. It's not even between you and your fetus, who has no say in it, obviously. It is exclusively about you, right? The baby, or the fetus itself, is not even an interested enough actor for the state to say, we should interfere with your decision for whatever reason to have an abortion. The thing being aborted is not an interested enough actor. So what we would ask is, why is it that the broad social agenda of a state that it may want to push, right, in order to achieve those more and more for social outcomes, is then a valid actor in that decision as to whether or not or why you necessarily get an abortion? Because we don't think that the state, consistent with any other conceptualization of the way that the state should interact with an individual and with their body, that is going to fly. We think that it's deeply personal and is effectively just using the woman's womb as a tool of furthering the state's agenda. and a gender, ironically, that will probably be seeking to empower women. So, yeah, I'll take that.
Do you think that abortion should be rare?
No. I would like it if there were circumstance, like if all these people in these countries were rich enough that they could have a female and economically prosper as well as they could if they had a male. So I'd like if the circumstances were that way, but I don't think that the abortion in and of itself is a boo-boo. Sorry, it's bad. Sorry. that was a boo-boo. Why is it that we think that you would necessarily make the decision to abort? We think, no thank you, we think that it's because you will be giving yourself more ability to support your family, and it changes the economic situation in that family. So we're talking by and large about countries like India, to an extent countries like China, and also some, no thank you, some other poorer, even less developed nations, where agriculture and physical labour is an exceptionally large part of that economy. So how is it that a family will fare better? No thank you. We think that these families, when they have more male children, simply as a result of the fact, even just on the basic law of averages, the fact that that male will be more effective at working on that farm, and that the female won't then go on to have children, no thank you, that are then potentially otherwise more of a liability for that family unit. It means that it is better for those living human beings that that male exists there. And it's weird, because the premise on which we actually allow abortion, right, is because we're saying we don't preference the future human who does not yet exist over the current human, right? So we think that that is really quite analogous to the current situation, where we're saying we preference the right of the people and the family that is currently existing to be able to support itself into perpetuity and not to die of starvation, over the future human who otherwise doesn't exist. We think, in fact, if you're going to try and tell us, if you're going to try and support abortion but be against this policy, you're actually going to have to tell us why those two things can actually reconcile. No thank you. So, why is it that someone can actually, why is it that we actually think that someone should be allowed to make that choice? We think that, as I said, that the premise of allowing the abortion is that the current person is of more value than the future person that doesn't otherwise exist, right? So that fundamentally means that where these people are making those decisions, they're probably making a logical decision because they're probably aware of what would happen to their family if they had less capacity to work. Lastly, and the last question on this is a little bit of a model bash. If you want to let people abort their children, but you don't want to let them abort their children on the basis of their gender, what that means is one of two things, probably both, is that either A, firstly people go under the radar, right, bad circumstances, black market, dangerous abortions, blah blah blah, I've heard that argument before. And then secondly, that it sweeps up women who genuinely want an abortion, right, because you can't read these people's minds as a result of a non-gender related issue to which you say, no, you can't have an abortion. Because you can't read their minds, so ultimately it means that whatever test you're going to have, it's going to have the propensity to be disallowing people to have abortions for reasons that even you think are legitimate. For these reasons, Madam Speaker, we are proud to propose.